What's up, guys? It's Campfire Scare here. Today I've got two stories of hunters that went missing. The first is of a hunter who went out to go pre-scout some deer, and you would not believe the state that this guy was found in. Story number two is of a man who went out to go bait some deer and never came back. If you're interested in both of these, stick around the campfire. If you like strange, creepy stories of missing people that never return, or perhaps they do return but they're found in a completely obscure location, almost seemingly impossible to get to, then you have come to the right campfire. Please stick around. Story one today is about Todd Seas. On August 4th, 2002, Todd left his house around 5 a.m. He lives in Northumberland, Pennsylvania. He told his wife that he would be back about midday, and he was headed up to the mountains to do some pre-scouting for deer season. So about midday, Todd never came back. So his wife quickly alerted the authorities that he's out pre-scouting for deer, and he never came back. And the thing about Todd is he always returned when he said he would. So when he didn't, his wife was very concerned. So a search party was started about 2 p.m. And this consisted of state police and a couple hundred volunteers. Now, they went up into the mountains, and Todd's four-wheeler was quickly discovered on top of the mountain where he said he would be pre-scouting. So the search and rescue brought in their K9 unit, and they searched all around his four-wheeler. The dogs never picked up on his scent. Now, this search party continued on for 2 days, and they were going up and down this mountain for 2 days straight, trying to find Todd, trying to locate his scent, pick up on anything that they could. Now, they also brought in helicopters, and on the second day, they spotted something in the brush. So when they spotted this figure in the brush, conveniently enough, it was not very far from Todd's home, next to a pond, and this was some heavy, thick brush. Now, the ground team went out and tried to find what they located in the helicopter, and it took them about 30 minutes just to get to the figure that they spotted. And it took them 30 minutes because this was so heavily dense brush that they had to bushwhack for a half hour just to get to this figure that they spotted in the helicopter. Now, when they arrived, it was Todd's body. Now, he was very emaciated, which just means weak and thin. You can imagine a person being out for a few days, out in the brush, with no food, water, anything of that nature. You're going to burn a lot of calories. So, that wasn't even the strangest part. The strangest part was that Todd was in nothing more than his underwear. And when Todd had left, he was wearing full hunter gear. So, I mean, he had his boots, he had the typical hunting gear, and so it was very, very odd that Todd was found in nothing more than just his underwear. This is where it gets even stranger. The area that they had located Todd's body in had already been searched previous times with the helicopter flying up and down, so it was very odd that they found him where they did. A couple people from the UFO National Search Center thought there was a little bit more to the case, just because a couple of farmers in the area had seen very strange lights just not very far off from where Todd was located. So they thought that there was more to the case than what the search team was officially giving the report. None of this was typically mentioned, just because authorities, they've got to be very spot on with the kinds of things that they're saying in their reports. So Linda Howe and Peter David report. Thought there was more to this just because where they had located Todd's body was in such a thick covered forest, lots of bushwhacking. Like I said, it took the search and rescue a half hour just to chop through all that brush just to get to his body. So it was very mischievous on how his body got put there, and this just added on to the UFO report, just because of the strange circumstances of where they found him. And like I said, this area had been previously searched, and so Peter and Linda thought there was way more to this than the authorities were actually giving on to. Later on, after Todd's body has already been found, after the four-wheeler had been located, not very far off, probably about a mile from David's four-wheeler, his boot was found way up in the tree, and it was nowhere near Todd's body. So like I said, this just adds on to that UFO report. Very strange circumstances. So the only thing that was ever added on to this was an ex-detective, Butch Wachowski, had said that this was most likely a abduction, just because of, like I said, the area had been previously searched, where they found Todd's body, how hard it was to get to it. After that, nothing else was ever added to the report. So very, very strange how Todd's body got where it was. Been missing for 2 days, and they could not find anything. No scents, no tracks, nothing. So very, very strange Todd sees. Story number 2, Barry Zeldin. On October 15th, 2013, 74-year-old Barry Zeldin told his wife he was going to bait at a deer stand, and he left his home in Mays Landing in Hamilton, New Jersey. So at 10 a.m., Barry goes down to the Audubon, New Jersey Gun Club, and he signs in, and this is so that they know what hunters are out there and where they're at. So he goes out and he goes to bait at this deer, and Barry never returns this night. And his wife of 50 years was not concerned at this point. Barry would often extend his trips, and so all she thought was that he must have gotten a deer and he was going to retrieve it or find it. So like I said, Barry is a very avid outdoorsman, loves hunting, this type of thing. So it's not unheard of for Barry to go out and extend his trips for a little bit longer. So on Tuesday, Barry's wife began calling him and just could not get a hold of Barry. Once again, she still wasn't very concerned. The following day, on Wednesday, she continuously calls him all day long, not getting a response, nothing, no text message, and like I said, she's just calling him all day long and not getting a single response. So on Thursday, she goes downtown and she's trying to locate the gun club, just could not find it. So now it's Friday, and Barry left on Monday. She finally finds the gun club, tells them of the situation, and immediately they rounded up a few people to go search for Barry. So it wasn't until Saturday that the volunteers from the gun club that wanted to go look for Barry found his SUV. Now, what they found in the SUV was his phone, wallet, keys, and his dog. And this is day number 6. So the dog had survived by drinking the water from the cracks in the windows that were running down, so he was able to drink. They said that he was most likely eating the bait for the deer. Very, very strange that they found no sign of Barry whatsoever. So after the gun club located his SUV but could not find any sign of Barry, the state police and the rescues with their canine units were brought in. It was now Sunday. They also used helicopters and they used the canines, and they tried to pick up Barry's scent, but nothing was found. And only within a day, they could not find him. They immediately called off the search, which is very rare for them to spend such a little amount of time looking for someone. After the search was called off because they couldn't find Barry, Barry's wife was still not very concerned because of how good of an outdoorsman he was. She knew that Barry could survive in these conditions. He knew what to eat, how to shelter, and she refused to give up, though. Even though she wasn't very concerned at this point, she was still mounting search and rescues with local volunteers to go search and find Barry. So on the following Tuesday, Barry's wife called the Burlington K-9 unit, and they came out and they also tried looking for Barry. Now, where Barry was going hunting at was thick with brush and pine barrens, and in order to get to this place was via very short, narrow roads, often made out of sand. This was a difficult place to get to in the first place, and they searched for Barry, and like I said, no scent was picked up. They could not locate Barry. The initial search was called off on October 19th without any clues to where Barry had gone, even though the search party was called off and state police gave up and everything was going horribly wrong because they could not find this person. Barry's wife never gave up. Same with his family. They would go out every weekend looking for Barry, hoping that they would find some sort of sign of Barry, but in the end, nothing was ever found, and this is just absolutely strange. This is one of those stories about a hunter that goes missing in the forest without a trace, without a sign, nothing. If you like to hear these stories, click like and subscribe, and send any kind of story in that you would like me to read to campfirescare@gmail.com. Look forward to seeing you at the next campfire.